design culture learning series on different subjects. Now, the larger theme is form, reform, and transform. We are taking these series, which culminates ultimate into the Pink City Design Confluence, where we have various sub-themes: society, creativity, design leadership, harmonious livability. We have, over a period of 4 weeks, 16 experts who will be sharing their experiences.
First of all, thank you to you as well as Dr. Archana for giving this opportunity. I always believe that a good product has to be really simple, no matter how complex it is to develop initially. But for the user, it really has to be very, very simple and intuitive. So I'm going to share one or two case studies, depending on the time. But as you rightly mentioned, I'm going to speak about a product called Tata Swatch. So, as a company, what we believe in, everybody talks about design being a win-win situation, but we believe design should be a win, win, and win, not just two wins. And why three wins? Because the three stakeholders are our clients, end user, and society at large. So whatever projects we try and do as a company, what we do is we work on products, graphics, interfaces, but the most important part, which is really missed out, is perceptions. Your product should say, look at me, touch me, feel me, buy me. And it has to create a smile on the user when he's using it. I think that is the winning product according to us. So typically, our design process, we've tweaked it. So there's define, discuss, dialogue, collect data. But the most important part of our design process is we've invariably ended up redefining the design brief. Clients think designers just work external, the form and, the materials and what process to use. Whereas we actually deep dive into the internals. We believe that the heart has to be perfect. You can't have a good looking product which functions terribly and vice versa. So, engineering, technology, processes have to go hand in hand with the industrial design, the aesthetics, the ergonomics. It's very important. Then we invariably deconstruct the data collected, and that's when the design actually starts. So we're not shooting in air, so it's a very focused design process. Then we demonstrate, obviously, with the prototype, and we deliver the part drawings so that it can be manufactured. So I believe there are, people normally talk about art and design in one breath. I personally believe that art and design is completely different. Art is a one-off. You can take, 3 years to develop a product, one single product. It's like a sculpture. Whereas design is for mass production. It is very important. So every second saved in production is a saving in cost. Every gram of material saved is a saving for the product.
If I am developing a product for a particular region, suppose for senior citizens, then to make it universal, do we need to go through each and every category division? Or aiming towards the maximum gentry and considering their problems and experience can help in development? So,
So first and foremost, the minute you say universal design, it has to be universal. So, it should work across the type of people. So you and me also should be able to use that product. So I think universal design is very important. And I mean, it's the same utensils which you and me can eat today. I mean, you're having idli sambar, the last few things you can't really eat properly. And
right.
we've created a set of soup bowls, medium-sized plates, large plates, everything. So now we are designing that it can be made in ceramics, porcelain, glass. Actually created it in silver because somebody would want to eat in silver plates. So
Yeah.
for many people, I've actually created brass with silver plating.
Hmm.
So, it's very important that whatever product you do, one is for a niche market, which is very specific. It could be a hardcore engine product, but something like a universal product, I should be able to use it and anybody should be able to use it.
Right.
End of the day, there has to be a smile on the user's face. I think that satisfaction is
Right.
very important.
That's absolutely true. Can we design a vegan fabric which is made up of weeds and not even toxic?
I'll show you a sample.
Oh, great.
I don't know. Can you see this looks like canvas?
Ah, hmm,
This is 100% vegan. This is nothing else but hemp.
that hemp.
100 hemp,
Yes,
cannabis.
right.
100% no additive, no cotton, no blending, no nothing. It has tremendous properties, and this is the diet version of the same.
Hmm. Oh, your works are truly inspiring. What inspires you to work for such beautiful causes? Well,
Gosh, difficult question, but a simple answer is just the passion, I think. Passion and perseverance. Because I think we've got that in our DNA that, in Hindi we call it khujli, right? You have to try to make it perfect. I think that is what drives us. Every
it's
day in the morning, I read
yes,
a thing from, remember Bhargav, in 80s we used to have a magazine called Designer. There's
right,
that
right.
quote,
Yes,
for the young designer, and I think
yes,
that is so inspirational. I email it to you so you can share it with
yeah,
the students.
yes, yeah.
That's one quote which I saying that why should we be buried in the archives of the past? So that is something. So we always challenge prior art. If somebody says this is the way it is done, we always challenge why isn't there a different way of achieving the same result in a better way? So I think that in simple word is khujli. We have to do. I mean, it's a simple word, but that works and it drives us.
It
But
does.
we are completely against jugaad. That's one word, and that is one process. Because the minute you've achieved something using jugaad, you will never progress. You're happy with jugaad.
Never progress.
I think that
Absolutely.
is what is killing Indian industry.
It's the jugaad which is working against finer innovations.
Yeah.
True.
And that also refreshes our design team. Because they're used to solving up one particular. That break is very essential. That 2-day break suddenly and get back to your own project
Absolutely.
again is very
Yes.
important.
Yes. Yes. Indeed.
And I think design process or design thinking or this culture
Mm.
is 24/7.
Right.
And we've
Yeah.
designed and patented a tea bag. I came to the office at 3 a.m. prototyped it at night. I couldn't sleep. I said, this is a
Mm.
nice idea. Let's go to the office. And that's how it should happen.
So you see that creativity is all around us in small, simple things. There are things which are available, which we take for granted, and we see that there's no scope, but there's always some scope to improve it, to take it to the next level, to make it more functional, to value add and make it more sensible. So creativity comes to those who seek it. Yeah, this is very important. Now, creativity is like a muscle. The more you exercise, the more it grows. There are no pills, there are no gyms, there's no special food or tool. No one else can contribute. I can tell you a process, but then you have to practice that process. Somebody can tell you a model on design thinking, but you have to think and then come up with design. So it's all about you thinking, and coming up with solutions. Now, what is by association? The bringing together of two previously unrelated planes of thought. There are two thoughts, they are not related, and the eureka moment happens. This is also known as big jump creativity. Let me give an example, a very basic example to make you understand. Thought 1, thought 2, and by association happens. Remember, these two thoughts are not related. So there was wood and there was lead, and they are not related at all until some genius made a pencil. So pencil is by association. It's a bi-associative product. Look at this ad. It's a zoom camera ad, and it's so powerful that you can find Osama bin Laden, who was hiding for years in some ranges in Afghanistan or anywhere in the world. Now, zoom camera has nothing to do with a terrorist called Osama bin Laden, but somebody bi-associated. And you have a great ad which got global, which got awards. And similarly, if you'll notice, a lot of ads, print ads or media ads or movies, which you love, are the outcome of bisociation. Another example, the movie Lagan. It was the third movie which went to Oscars after, I think, Mother India and Pyasa. They showed the Quit India movement and the cricket. Again, these two things have no relation at all. And you got a movie called Lagan, which made history. There are two things which are not related and someone has combined. It can be two things, it can be two thoughts. So, similarly, you can do a small exercise and you can try and biassociate. Take two different concepts which have no relation at all, combine them. And that's how we used to do when I was a design student. If I'm designing a chair, I will take inspiration from a jewelry book, not from a furniture book. If I'm trying to design a jewelry, I may take inspiration from a comic novel or a graphic novel. That's how you come up with a unique design or unique concepts. How many people of you think that they are bisociative, or you think that you have done bisociation in your life? And even before you answer it, let me tell you, all of you are bisociative. Creativity has got two channels, bisociation and innovation. Bisociation, I just explained. Now let's talk about innovation. So, like we had the pencil, which was bisociated, we have got eraser, which was bisociated. Some genius realized that these two go together, and you put eraser at the back of the pencil. Nobody ever thought that you can have internet connected to your television, and you can have Netflix and so many apps now, and you can browse and watch. You don't need dish cable, and your mobile phone itself. There is so many innovations. So it's very important for a designer to use the product before they start designing it. And a lot of people, they miss out that part. And we being in retail format, when we get a project, we try and if a brand calls us that this is the problem that we are facing and this is the solution that we are looking from you as a person or agency, so we will spend at least a week's time in their retail space to understand whether is this problem rightly stated, or is this the right solution that they are seeking for. Because unless you experience yourself, you can't empathize, you can't do justice to it. That as well, most of the innovations which you will think are which you are coming up with, somebody somewhere has already been working and has been testing and is there in the small market. That's how innovation happens, that the pace, the fast pace it happens with. Innovate more, you can innovate anything and everything. There's no a stage doesn't come where you will say that okay, now this product can't be innovated any further. There's always something that you can add, value add to a product. So it's very important to innovate and keep on innovating. A lot of people have got solutions and then they search out for problems. And they think it's a good solution, but for what? Then they start searching for a problem. Rather than you check out a problem, not a
For
problem.
what? Yeah, and for whom? For who are they designed?
Yeah.
Also very important.
So look at a thing and check out what's missing. Like I have this handy right now. This is a specs case. So what is missing from this and what is the remedy? That's it. That's how you innovate. And it can be combination of associations and innovations. I just explained you the simple process of association innovation. That's not a rule. It's just to make you understand. So within innovation, you can have multiple association. You can have multiple associative products and multiple innovative products combining together, making something else. You have to ask yourself, what's wrong in a product or a service, and what's the remedy? Very simple. And you can apply this to anything and everything that is around you, anything and everything that you're working on, anything and everything that you use on your daily life. But keep on thinking. Maybe you are not contributing to it, but you have to keep innovating. And that's how you develop your creative sense here. Okay. So just to recap, creativity has got two branches, by association and innovation. So next time when you are trying to create something or design something, you can be at least clear. Of course, you want a creative output, but whether you want to associate or you just want to innovate, there's already something existing and you are just improving it, adding things to it, value adding things in it. Or you just take two different things, two different concepts, thoughts, combine it and make something very different, very new. Some very interesting ads, a combination of association and innovation. Smoking reduces weight, one lung at a time. So by just reducing the font thickness, this ad is communicating a great message. Look at this amazing ad by Big Bazaar for Women's Day. All the women's which are missing have gone to Big Bazaar for shopping. Very smartly done. We all know which women we are referring to without even taking their names or anything. And this is the matrix which I follow or I have made a model where you have got these four quadrants. So the very basic is the traditional ideas which we call जुगाड़, है ना? कोई ड्रॉर बंद नहीं हो रही है, कोई कोई चेयर हिल रही है तो हमने एक पेपर फोल्ड किया और उसके नीचे लगा दिया. That's innovative, but that's a traditional idea, very easy to implement. Now there is another quadrant which is new concept, where you come up with something which is unique, but you don't know what to do about it. It could be a good looking thing, it could be a something which can make you smile, but there's no function to it. Like I'm not sure how many people remember the Bluetooth which I had made for one of the workshops. The Bluetooth was made out of the wax. It was a blue colored tooth. Now, if you see value addition, there's no value addition in that, but it's a new concept and people loved it. So that's where the uniqueness comes with low value. But in the same idea, if you increase the value, it becomes innovative idea. You give it a better shape, like the way you were putting in the chat all the ideas that there's something we can add to it, we can change it to it, we can make it to use like this, uh, we can do this particular thing to this particular product so that it becomes more functional and more usable, multi-purpose. That's where the innovation or innovative ideas come. And when you have got very unique stuff and very high value addition where you combine two things, that's where the eureka moment happens, where the by association happens. So let me give you a tip here. Ideas don't come from you, ideas come to you. The great Dalai Lama mentioned it in one of his talks. So you always have to carry an idea book. It could be as small as a maybe post it or something, or anything which is handy which you can keep in your bag pocket. But always carry that, because idea will come and you will think that it came to me and I will remember it and it will go to someone else. So it's always advisable to have a small idea book handy, where if whatever random idea comes to you while reading, while doing something, while even sleeping or taking shower or anything, you just note it down.
I have seen design very closely. I have had experience of teaching in the in NID, in School of Architecture in Ahmedabad, in NIFT Gandhinagar. I have seen fashion closely. I have seen architecture closely. I have known design closely, and I think all of them become part of design. I mean, it's very difficult to say. When I was in NIFT, they said that fashion is the umbrella and design is under that umbrella. When I was in NID, they said design is the umbrella and fashion is part of that umbrella. So, whichever way it is, but yes, fashion, architecture, design, I would consider them as part of a larger gamut called design. Of course, it is not just art movements. There are artists also who individually inspired design, and design vice versa inspired art also. So it is something that goes like how I call my presentation art to design to art to design to art. That is how it all happens. Of course, I am going to look at the modern times because it is then that design became a separate entity. Before the Industrial Revolution, during the ancient and the medieval times, the artist himself was a designer and he himself was the craftsman. He fashioned the objects, he conceived the objects, and he visualized the objects. And so he was all in one. It is only during the after the industrial revolution that happened that a new sort of a reality started emerging. Where design, craft, and art started become slowly a separate entity, and we have seen the whole of 20th century they getting divorced more and more and more. And today in the, if I may call it, postmodernist era, we are trying to bring them all together again. And so this is a very, very tricky, difficult, and painful exercise, but we are supposed to do that. I have divided this whole presentation into three categories. In the early days, design and art went in hand, and we come to the year 2006 when abstraction started, and I think somewhere it is here that the seeds of design lies. Uh, Abstraction, who did that first? We don't have very definite answers. In abstraction, that is what has
Right.
happened. I mean, earlier abstraction starts in art,
Hmm.
and walks into design, and then designers started affecting the
Yes.
art.
So it's a wonderful synergy between the two.
It is
I
a
mean,
wonderful synergy.
yes.
Abstraction is one of those heavy examples.
Right.
Where it is very difficult to say whether art influenced design or design influenced art.
Yes. Indeed.
It is very difficult. I mean, certainly because Mondrian and Kandinsky did the first paintings of
Hmm.
abstraction. Certainly it started with art.
Hmm.
But there came a time when they were both moving so parallel or overlapping each other in
Right.
such a complex way.
Hmm.
That it is very difficult to say who is influencing whom.
Yes.
And today, if I come to today, we have the digital media, the new media,
Hmm.
and there are so many people working. There are artists working in new media, there are designers working in new media.
We
But in new
take it further.
media, it is difficult to say whether this is art or this is design.
Right.
They work so closely. They
Absolutely.
experiment so closely, and there are more artists working in new media than designers.
Hmm.
And all they all overlap each other. They all interact with each other. And
Yes.
so it is very, very difficult today. The lines between all these disciplines are merging. No, when we say that this sort of sharp divisions between design, art, even within design there are very sharp divisions between fashion and product and all this. They are slowly blurring. That the lines that divide them are blurring. Of course they are not happening as fast as we would like them to be work, but they are blurring. And that is why many of these design schools are incorporating art programs within them. And so I have divided. You see, there are many kinds of complexity when we talk about art influencing design or design influencing art. Because they are the entities which have come out of the same thing. And so they are sisters, or they are first cousins at times close sisters, or at times even twins. And so they sometimes, so it is difficult to separate them at times. At times it is difficult to negotiate those territories.
This world and its animate and inanimate objects are wondrous and grand in the scope built in them. Does it really matter whether the creator was one, or were a trinity, or a pantheon? Alone or together, they have given us the gift of free choice and given us a chance, actually chance after chance, to experience and build understanding of not only the magnificence and value of all that surrounds us, but also given us infinite lifetimes to figure out and attain that state of being that enables creation. To rediscover the inbuilt power packaged into each of us, power to nurture, power to heal, power to actually create, manifest, buried deep in all beings, with only varying levels of awareness to separate being from being. And if one were to see and absorb even a small part out of the multitude of hints given to us every day to help us realize and unravel this fact, this mystery, one may live like we were meant to, caring for and nurturing all creation. And if one is wise, we could each of us take a chance offered to create anew, to include all rather than only for the self. But our immediate condition takes precedence, and the inevitable conditioning takes over and guides us down narrow paths which are difficult to come back from. The sooner we break out of this amniotic sac, this self-made box, the sooner we should be able to create and rediscover our potential for infinite creation. It may take a huge effort, but it's doable. I've realized that most of us want to be unique, one of a kind, in thought, looks, emotion, capacity, creations, expression, achievements. We also want to be the first at anything, or at least be acknowledged as the originator, the first to have done this or that. Appreciation and acknowledgement from peers seems to be very, very important for our sanity, our vanity, our very existence. Why is it that we don't seem to quite understand that for each one of us, the act of creation is a unique experience, a first for each of us, every time? Even if the idea or project was guided from a posting on YouTube, it really does not matter whether the idea, the concept, the technique, the product, the formula, the invention originated in the past and is already accounted for by somebody before us, who, if alive, could claim that they were there first. And if they are no more among the presently living, have a patent or history has been kind enough to give them a page or even a footnote of acknowledgement. Where creation is concerned, we always want to be the first, unique. Unfortunately, we are also a trifle stingy and careful about acknowledging the important bottom rungs of the ladder. That's us then, strange, quaint, head in the hand, life forms who affect their own perceptions to suit their comfort levels and quarterback beliefs. How many elements need to come together to enable a creation and ensure that it stays created for a finite length of time, time enough to be seen by other life forms, acknowledged and providing the very proof of existence, long enough to affect both animate and inanimate existence in some way, negative or positive? How many elements did the divine creators use or bring together to create the galaxies? How many eons were spent creating the life forms that have evolved over billions of years past? What kind of computer did God use to sort out the permutations and combinations of the essence, to plan and design evolution, sustainable growth, the mechanism of balance and adjustment, of procreation and the generation of life forms and landscapes? Or are they random acts of creation with no purpose, or the products of accidental evolution? And so, as always, one looks for reasons, explanations that satisfy, and we keep finding more and more every day. And then we want to know more about this incredible mad persona, that incomprehensible, brilliant creator, that superb thinker and fine artist with the exquisite eye for each detail, the mind, the consciousness encompassing all existence with the infinite capacity of creating a multitude of many, many more parallel existences. What then is creation? Are we sole creators of anything at all? We would like to think so. It probably gives us meaning and significance and something that we are looking for in all this vast universe. How would it be if we had the infinite confidence of a true creator? If we understood that we are already wired to receive and broadcast, to think and invent, to use senses beyond the physical, realize that we are sensitive beyond all our limited expectations. What if we were to find our ways to break out of our conditioning, try to break out and regain our ability to directly perceive, regain our freedom to communicate without words? Does a tree talk? Perhaps. Perhaps we have let our real array of senses wither so much with disuse that we can't hear the tree anymore. We have let our senses and true capacities to receive and communicate wither so much that we probably are dependent on the gadgets that we have invented to bridge and fill these gaps, and many other such gaps in our perception and communication. We probably even depend on gadgets to define and describe the day. So do we acknowledge ourselves as creators to start with? Take our inbuilt capacity, so visible, further. Not merely learn a formula or method of creation. If so, then we should be ready to embrace a complete being with awareness of our potential and latent powers of creation left dormant for so long. It means we need to reattune ourselves to the vibrations of the universe of which we are a part. Minuscule as a grain of sand, but with unbelievable power. Individuals, but with the power of choice. Individuals, but capable of multiplying the energy required to create by accepting that one is not alone. Nothing we create is created alone. We call for help always. Call it inspiration, advice, points of view, opinions, knowledge, experience, acknowledgement, prayer. Can you honestly identify anything that you have created completely and fully alone as an individual? We do our very best to gather ingredients, tools, materials, research, etc. to try and increase the chances of success in the process, to be reasonably sure of a satisfactory end result. Yet most times, we are closed to the nudgings of the universe. We are deaf to the inner voice. One ignores the gut feelings that try to get through. One is closed to divine help, even while wanting it. How then can we be sure that the solution we create is optimum for the purpose it is created? Do we understand or even recognize real needs? Or are we so caught up in the act of creation and use the activity only to satisfy our urges, with no deep ability to respond to what is under our very noses most of the time, screaming to be noticed, acknowledged? It seems the first thing to do is to ask questions and search and wait for answers and continue to probe and analyze and attempt to check the answers. Check them honestly for honesty and not accept them because they're comfortable to believe in. This is to be aware of whether there are barriers to our acts of creation and what they are. It's when we are blocked that we want formulas and methods to try and get to creative solutions as fast as possible. If we are aware of our greater capacity and we make space to receive the signals from the universe, build our sensitivity and give our antenna exercise, then there's nothing in the universe that you don't have access to. Do you think all ideas originate with you? Do you have the space to see and recognize and receive those ideas or nudges that are given to you, that come to you? In all the talk up till now, we have hinted upon the bigger picture. You as a sentient life form and your ability to reorient your awareness to be able to see, acknowledge, and harness the power of creation that resides in you, given to you as part of the package you were born with. And it depends on you and your acts of living that could decide whether you are actually in touch with the Creator in you or whether you have to work harder through some more lifetimes to get there. All valuable creation requires serious and responsible attention at the time it is created and brought into manifestation. Without this responsible approach, all creation is dangerous and eventually harmful. If the act of creation is undertaken or is participated in, then it must be with full awareness of all aspects that will be affected as a result of its manifestation. The human race and all sentient life forms cannot talk about sustainability till we understand the price of creation. Before we, in a sense, press the button that supposedly turns on our creativity, like a bulb, we should pause and examine our motives and the extent of our awareness of the repercussions of our sometimes irreversible actions.